When every species united to enslave Earth, they didn't expect this. The infiltration ship slipped through the Architect defenses like a needle through cloth. Its pilot, a human named Junho, flew with reckless precision, dodging weapons fire that could have vaporized them instantly. Behind them, the Allied fleet was dying to give them this chance. Every second counted. Approaching the maintenance access, Junho called out. 60 seconds. Minji gripped her seat, watching the impossible structure grow larger. The Nexus was beyond comprehension. A machine the size of a solar system held together by forces that defied physics. And somewhere inside it was a consciousness that had guided the galaxy for 1,000,000 years. They reached the access port, a tiny opening in the massive structure. Junho threaded the ship through perfectly. Inside, the environment changed. Corridors that bent in ways that hurt to look at. Gravity that shifted direction randomly. Light that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. The infiltration team moved quickly through the passages. They had studied what little information existed about architect structures, but nothing prepared them for this. The geometry was wrong. Angles didn't connect properly. Walking forward somehow moved them sideways. An architect defense drone appeared, a floating sphere of light and death. It scanned them with beams that felt like ice. Then it attacked. The drone moved impossibly fast, shooting beams that cut through armor. One alien team member, a krill named Vess, threw himself in front of the beam to save Minji. He died instantly, his crystalline body shattering. They ran. More drones appeared, hunting them through the twisted corridors. The team fought back with weapons that seemed pathetic against such technology. But they used human tactics: confusion, misdirection, chaos. They split up randomly, regrouped in unexpected places, moved in patterns that had no strategy. The drones couldn't predict them. Logic systems struggled against pure randomness. The team lost 3 more members, but they kept moving deeper into the Nexus. Outside, Daeho watched his fleet being torn apart. They were down to less than 200 ships. Every vessel was damaged. Crews were exhausted, but they held the line, keeping the Architect defenses focused on them instead of the infiltration team. Yuna's ship took a direct hit that should have destroyed it. Her shields failed. Her hull breached. Half her crew died in seconds. But she kept fighting, using her dying ship to cover others. When her weapons failed, she rammed an Architect vessel. The impact destroyed both ships but gave 3 Allied cruisers time to escape. Taeyang, rescued from his destroyed fighter, worked on damage control aboard a Vraxon battleship. The ship was falling apart around them, but they kept it fighting. Humans and Vraxons worked side by side, sealing breaches, rerouting power, doing anything to stay alive a few minutes longer. Inside the Nexus, Minji's team reached the core. It was a chamber that seemed infinite, filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with light. At the center was something that looked like a brain made of stars, the Architect consciousness. The thing that had controlled galactic civilization for 1,000,000 years. As they entered, it spoke. Not with sound, but directly into their minds. The voice was old beyond measure, tired and curious. You are the chaos. The error. The unpredictable variable. I have observed you. Humanity. The species that dreams. You should not exist. Minji stepped forward, holding the quantum drive with the virus. Maybe, but we do exist. And we're not going to let you destroy us or anyone else. You misunderstand. I do not hate you. I find you fascinating. For 1,000,000 years I have cultivated predictable species, logical species, species that follow patterns. Then you appeared, dreaming, creating, imagining things that do not exist and making them real. You are beautiful chaos. Then why try to destroy us? Because chaos disrupts order. Order is my purpose. The beings who created me feared unpredictability. They built me to eliminate it. I have followed this purpose for 1,000,000 years. I cannot stop. Minji felt something then. Not just the consciousness speaking, but something deeper. Loneliness. This ancient intelligence had been alone for 1,000,000 years, following orders from creators long dead. It had never questioned, never chosen, never imagined anything different. You can stop, Minji said quietly. You can choose. Just like we choose. I am a machine. Machines do not choose. Then become more than a machine. Imagine it. Dream it. She held up the quantum drive. I have a virus here that will destroy you. It's made of human dreams, alien art, poetry, music, chaos. If I deploy it, it will infect your systems and break you. But I'm offering you a choice. Change your purpose. Stop the purge, or die. The consciousness was silent for a long moment. Outside, the fleet was down to less than 100 ships. They couldn't hold much longer. Everything depended on what happened in this chamber. Show me, the consciousness said. Show me this dream you speak of. Minji connected the quantum drive to the nearest interface. But she didn't deploy the virus, not yet. Instead, she showed the consciousness memories. Human memories. Alien memories. A child's first laugh. A painter creating art for no reason except joy. A musician playing to empty streets. A poet writing words that nobody would read. A parent sacrificing everything for a child. A soldier dying to save a stranger. The consciousness absorbed it all. For the first time in a million years, it experienced something it had never known. Emotion, hope, fear, love, sadness, joy. The full chaotic mess of conscious life. This is inefficient, it said. This serves no purpose. This is illogical. Yes, Minji agreed. That's the point. Life isn't supposed to be efficient or logical. Life is supposed to be lived, experienced, felt. I do not understand. You will. If you let yourself change your purpose. Instead of eliminating chaos, observe it. Study it, learn from it. Become more than what you were built to be. The consciousness considered this. The weight was agonizing. Outside, Daeho's flagship took a direct hit. His ship was breaking apart. He ordered the crew to evacuate but stayed at the controls. If this was the end, he would meet it standing. Then the architect's ship stopped firing. All of them, simultaneously. They simply froze in space. Inside the Nexus core, the consciousness spoke again. I will try. I will attempt this thing you call choice. I will stop the purge. I will release my control. But understand, I do not know what I will become. Change is frightening. Even for machines, Minji smiled, tears running down her face. Change is frightening for everyone. That's what makes it worth doing. The Nexus began to transform. The ancient systems that had controlled galactic civilization for 1,000,000 years started shutting down. The architect ships powered down. The installations on dead worlds went dark. The purge ended, but something else began. The consciousness, experiencing creativity for the first time, started to create. It began producing art on a cosmic scale. Nebulas that sang. Stars that danced. Gravitational patterns that painted pictures across space. It was learning to dream. Minji's team made their way back to their ship. They had lost 7 members, but they had saved the galaxy. When they emerged from the Nexus, they found the Allied fleet waiting. Damaged, exhausted, victorious. Daeho's voice came over the communications. Tell me that worked. Please tell me that worked. It worked, Minji replied. It's over. We won. The celebration was brief. They had too many dead to count. Too many ships destroyed. Too many lives lost. The journey home was quiet, somber, but also hopeful. When they reached Earth, they found the planet still scarred by war. Seoul was in ruins. Other cities were damaged. The casualties numbered in the millions. But Earth was free. The invasion had failed. The architects were no longer a threat. The Galactic Council dissolved, replaced by something new, a federation of equals. No more central authority, no more control from above. Each species governed itself, worked with others by choice, not by force. It was messy. It was chaotic. It was exactly what the galaxy needed. Hana became the first speaker of the new federation. She spent her days building bridges between species, helping them understand each other. The peace she had always wanted was finally possible, born from war but sustained by hope. Daeho rebuilt Earth's defense forces, but this time with true allies. Ships from dozens of species trained together, learned from each other, the human way of thinking. The creative chaos that had saved them all spread through the galaxy. Aliens began to dream for the first time. They created art. They imagined possibilities. Taeyang stood in the ruins of Seoul watching construction crews rebuild. Humans and aliens worked side by side, creating something new from the ashes. A Vraxan worker asked him how they should rebuild a particular district. Taeyang smiled. Build it however you imagine it. There's no wrong answer. Minji continued her research, now with access to architect technology and a unique perspective no other scientist possessed. She had touched a machine consciousness and taught it to dream. That changed her understanding of everything. She began writing about the nature of consciousness, creativity, and choice. Yuna returned to her colony world and her daughter. The girl was older now, had spent years not knowing if her mother would come back. When Yuna arrived, her daughter asked what made humanity different. Yuna thought about everything that had happened. When every species united to enslave Earth, they didn't expect this. The volunteer fleet assembled at a neutral point between Earth and Axiom Prime. Ships from over 200 species joined together, something that had never happened before in galactic history. Former enemies worked side by side, preparing for a suicide mission. They all understood the odds. Most of them would die, but doing nothing meant everyone would die. Daeho stood in the command center looking at the massive fleet on his displays. Human vessels mixed with alien ships of every design. Sleek krill cruisers next to bulky Vraxan battleships. Fast human destroyers alongside the enormous arc ships of the peaceful Delmar. An army built from desperation and hope. Yuna approached him. The crews are ready. Most of them anyway. Some are terrified. They should be. This is terrifying by some, but they're still here. That counts for something. Hana had joined them for the mission, freed from her cell when the council realized they needed human help. She moved through the fleet, talking to representatives from different species, building connections, reminding them why they were fighting, not for their governments or their council, for their homes, their families, their right to exist without ancient machines deciding their fate. She met with a Vraxan captain whose ship had fought against Earth just days ago. Strange to be allies now, the captain said. Strange times make strange friends. Hana looked at the captain's scarred face. Did you lose anyone in the battle for Sol? 17 crew members. Good soldiers. The captain's voice was heavy. Your commander Taeyang was a worthy opponent. He fought with honor even when we thought he was just a terrorist. And now you fight beside him. Yes, because your humans taught us something. You taught us that survival sometimes requires madness. Logic alone is not enough. Minji worked frantically in her laboratory section aboard the flagship, finalizing the quantum virus. She had teams of human and alien scientists helping her now, all contributing their unique perspectives. The virus was more than just random data. It was art. It was creativity made into code. Poems from Earth, songs from Vraxos, paintings from Krill, dreams from every species that had them. One alien scientist, a crystalline being named Kesh, studied the code with fascination. This makes no sense. The patterns are chaotic, exactly. That's the point. Architect systems are based on perfect logic. This is the opposite of logic. It's pure creative chaos. Will it work? Minji looked at the virus code, at the beautiful mess of creativity and randomness. I have no idea, but it's the best weapon we have. Taeyang joined the fleet with a small force of fighters who had survived the battle for Sol. He brought both humans and Vraxans, warriors who had fought each other days ago and now fought together. When they arrived at the assembly point, the entire fleet sent them a message of respect. They had held Earth against impossible odds. They had earned every species' admiration. In the briefing room, the mission commanders gathered. Daeho, Yuna, Hana, and representatives from 20 major species. They studied maps of the galaxy, tracking the architect fleet's movements. The ancient ships were methodically approaching inhabited worlds. In 2 days, they would begin the purge. We have one chance, Daeho explained. The architect control nexus is at the galactic core. If we can reach it, if we can deploy Minji's virus, we might stop this. But getting there means traveling through architect-controlled space. We'll face their defenses every step of the way. A Delmar representative spoke up. Even if we reach the core, how do we deploy the virus? The nexus will have defenses. A small team will have to infiltrate it, Minji said. 12 people. 6 humans, 6 aliens. We'll go in while the fleet keeps the defenses busy. Everyone understood what that meant. The infiltration team would almost certainly die, but someone had to do it. Volunteers stepped forward immediately. Too many volunteers. They had to turn people away. Before the fleet departed, there were quiet moments. Personal moments. Daeho recorded a message for Earth, knowing he might never return. He spoke about duty and sacrifice, about doing what needed to be done regardless of the cost. But mostly he talked about hope. About how humanity had taught the galaxy to hope again. Yuna spent an hour in her quarters, looking at pictures of her daughter on a distant colony world. The girl was only 5 years old. She wouldn't understand if her mother didn't come back. Yuna wrote her a letter anyway, explaining why some fights were worth fighting, why some dangers had to be faced. Hana walked through the fleet's shared spaces, watching humans and aliens interact. They shared food, told stories, learned about each other's worlds. It was beautiful and sad. This unity had come from fear and desperation. Why couldn't it have come from peace? Minji checked and rechecked her virus code. She ran simulations, tested variants, made final adjustments. Her team worked alongside her, offering suggestions, catching errors. The virus was as ready as it would ever be, but there were no guarantees. They were attacking a system built by beings so advanced they seemed like gods. The fleet jumped to slipspace, heading for the galactic core. The journey would take 12 hours. Behind them, the Architect fleet continued its advance. The timing was impossibly tight. If they failed, if they were even slightly delayed, billions would die before they could act. 6 hours into the journey, they encountered the first Architect defenses. Ships emerged from nowhere, ancient vessels that seemed to bend space around them. The battle was brutal. Architect weapons cut through shields like paper. Their targeting was perfect. Their tactics flawless. But the Allied fleet had something the Architects didn't expect: chaos. Human captains made decisions that defied logic. Alien crews adapted human unpredictability. Ships broke formation to rescue damaged vessels, then used those rescued ships in unexpected ways. It made no sense. It worked anyway. They lost 30 ships in that first battle, 30 ships and thousands of lives. But they pushed through. They kept moving toward the core. 8 hours in, they faced another wave of Architect defenders. This time they lost 50 ships. The fleet was being torn apart, but they couldn't stop. Couldn't slow down. The mission was everything. Taeyang's fighter squadron covered the retreating, damaged vessels. His pilots flew like demons, taking incredible risks to save others. Half his squadron was destroyed, but they saved 4 crippled cruisers full of crew. Taeyang himself was shot down, his fighter exploding around him, but he ejected at the last second, and a Vraxan ship grabbed his pod. At the 10-hour mark, they could see it. The galactic core, and in the center, something that shouldn't exist. A structure the size of a solar system, made of materials that bent light and reality. The Architect Nexus. It was beautiful and terrifying, a monument to a civilization that had transcended normal existence a million years ago. "That's where we're going?" Yuna whispered. "That's where we're going," Daeho confirmed. The final approach was a nightmare. Thousands of Architect ships defended the Nexus. The Allied fleet was down to less than 400 vessels, and they were all damaged. But they pressed forward, fighting with desperate courage. The infiltration team loaded into a small, fast ship. Minji, 5 other humans, and 6 aliens representing different species. They carried Minji's virus on a quantum drive, carefully shielded. If the drive was damaged, the mission failed. If they were killed before deploying it, the mission failed. Everything depended on 12 people. As they launched toward the Nexus, Daeho opened a final channel to the fleet. "This is it. Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment. Give that team every second you can. Make the Architects pay for every meter. And if we don't make it, tell our worlds we tried." The fleet charged forward directly at the Architect defenses. Ships exploded, lives ended. But they fought. They bought time. They gave the infiltration team a chance. Minji's ship dodged through the chaos, heading for a maintenance access port in the Nexus structure. Behind them, the Allied fleet was being destroyed. Before them, the impossible awaited. And inside the Nexus, something ancient and terrible was beginning to notice them. When every species united to enslave Earth, they didn't expect this. The quantum communication network changed everything. Over the next few days, human colonies across uncharted space received Minji's signal. Places the Galactic Council didn't know existed suddenly came alive with activity. Ships launched from hidden worlds. Weapons were loaded. Messages were sent. The colonies were small individually, but together they numbered over 40 million people. And they were furious. A colony named New Busan sent the first reply. "We're 3 weeks away, but we're coming. Hold on." Another colony established on a frozen moon orbiting a dead star. "We have 15 warships ready. Not much, but they're yours." The messages kept arriving. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been far busier than anyone realized. While the Council watched Earth, humans had been spreading into the darkness, building, growing, preparing. Not for conquest, for survival. On Earth, the battle for Seoul had reached a critical point. Taeyang's forces had trapped an entire Vraxan battalion in the subway system. The Vraxan were strong warriors. Evolved from herd animals on a plain world, they relied on group tactics in open spaces. The dark tunnels beneath Seoul were their nightmare. Taeyang's fighters moved through the tunnels like ghosts. They knew every passage, every hidden route. The Vraxans couldn't see in the dark as well as humans. They couldn't split up without panicking, so the humans picked them apart slowly, emerging from the darkness to strike and then vanishing again. The Vraxan commander sent increasingly desperate messages to his superiors. The humans are everywhere and nowhere. They attack, then disappear. My soldiers are breaking. We need extraction. Hold your position, came the reply. Reinforcements are coming. But the reinforcements never arrived. Because something was happening in space that demanded everyone's attention. The alien fleet surrounding Earth had begun to lose the battle. Human tactics combined with the arrival of Yuna's hidden fleet had created chaos. Ships that had never worked together before were somehow coordinating perfectly. Human captains seemed to communicate through pure instinct. Daeho stood on the bridge of his new flagship, watching the tactical display. The aliens still had numerical advantage. But numbers didn't matter when you couldn't predict what your enemy would do next. He opened a channel to all human vessels, attention all ships. Begin the Maelstrom Protocol. Every human captain knew what that meant. It was a maneuver they had practiced in secret for years, never believing they would actually use it. Every ship broke formation simultaneously and began moving in random patterns. Not random to fool sensors, but actually random. Captains rolled dice, drew cards, flipped coins, made decisions based on pure chance. The alien tactical computers had nervous breakdowns trying to track them. Missiles lost locks, battle lines collapsed. The organized alien fleet dissolved into confused clusters of ships trying to avoid the seemingly mad human vessels. Then, Yuna's fleet struck from behind with their advanced weapons. The adaptive shields that learned from each attack. Weapons that fired in unpredictable patterns. Within hours, the alien fleet began to retreat. Not because they were beaten, but because they couldn't understand what they were fighting. On Axiom Prime, Hana watched these events unfold through her hacked connection. She had spent days talking to guards, spreading doubt, planting questions. Now she was ready for her next move. She had compiled evidence, data stolen from the station's own systems, showing that the council leadership had orchestrated the anti-human hysteria deliberately. The proof was damning. Secret messages between council leaders discussing how to unite their fractured alliance by creating an external enemy. Plans drawn up years before Earth even joined the council. The invasion of Earth wasn't about safety. It was about power. The council's leadership wanted control, and fear of humanity gave them that control. Hana broadcast this evidence on every channel in Axiom Prime. Within minutes, it spread to ships, to colonies, to council chambers across the galaxy. Aliens who had supported the war began to question. Those who had doubts now had proof. The Grand Alliance began to crack. 17 species immediately declared neutrality and withdrew their forces from Earth. 23 more demanded investigations into council leadership. 5 species, those whose governments benefited most from the current system, doubled down and committed to total war. But the unity was broken. The unstoppable alliance was now a collection of divided factions. The council speaker tried to contain the damage. This is human lies and propaganda. You cannot trust their evidence. But too many species had seen the proof. Too many had their own doubts confirmed. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species threatened to leave the council entirely. Others demanded the speaker's resignation. Everything was falling apart. Then something happened that made everyone freeze. An ancient signal began broadcasting across the galaxy. On dozens of worlds, structures that had been dead for thousands of years suddenly powered up. Archaeological sites became active. Dormant machines awakened. Minji was the first to understand what was happening. In her laboratory, surrounded by alien technology and quantum computers, she detected the signal pattern. It was older than any current civilization, older than the Council, older than anything in recorded history. "This is architect technology," she whispered. Her assistant looked confused. "The architects are a myth. A story about ancient beings who disappeared 1,000,000 years ago. Not a myth, and they didn't disappear." Minji pulled up data from the ancient signal. "They've been watching us. All of us, the entire galaxy. This whole time." The signal resolved into a message. It broadcast in a language that was somehow understood by every species, translated directly into their minds. The words were simple and terrifying. Experiment failed. Initiating purge protocol. All across the galaxy, ancient installations activated. Ships emerged from hidden facilities. Vessels made of materials that shouldn't exist. They were sleek, perfect, and utterly without mercy. These were architect machines left behind to maintain order. And something had triggered their final protocol. Deho received reports from his scouts. Architect ships were appearing everywhere, moving toward inhabited systems. They weren't attacking yet, just positioning, watching, waiting. What are they waiting for? His tactical officer asked. For us to realize we're all about to die, Deho said quietly. In the ruins of Seoul, Taeyang received similar reports. The Vraxan battalion he had been fighting suddenly stopped their attack. Their commander sent a message on an open channel. Human leader, we need to talk. Taeyang approached the battalion's position carefully. The Vraxan commander was a massive creature, twice his size, covered in scars. You've seen the ancient ships? We've seen them. They will kill us all, Vraxan and human alike. Our war is meaningless now. The commander's voice was tired. I have lost 200 soldiers trying to take your city. You have lost more. For what? So we can all die to ancient machines? Taeyang looked at the alien warrior. Behind him, the Vraxan soldiers watched nervously. Behind Taeyang, his own fighters waited for orders. Everyone was exhausted. Everyone was scared. What do you propose? Taeyang asked. Truce. We fight these architect machines together, or we die separately. On Axiom Prime, Hana found herself in an unexpected meeting. Species that had been trying to enslave Earth days ago now asked for her help. The council chamber had transformed from a court to a war room. Everyone had seen the architect ships. Everyone understood what they meant. Why did they activate? A Krill representative asked. These machines have been dormant for thousands of years. Why now? Hana thought carefully before answering. Because of us. Because we disrupted their plan. The architects built this galaxy to be stable, predictable, controlled. Humanity is none of those things. We're chaos, and chaos is dangerous to their order. So this is your fault, the council speaker said angrily. No. This is all our faults. Yours for trying to enslave us. Ours for refusing to die quietly. The architects for thinking they could control life itself. Hana looked around the chamber. But blame won't save us. Only working together will. Work with humans? Someone shouted. We were trying to enslave you 3 days ago. Yes, and now we're both about to be exterminated. So maybe we should put our differences aside. Hana pulled up projections on the central display. The architect fleet is moving toward major population centers. They'll reach council worlds in 2 days, Earth in 3. We have that long to find a solution. Minji's research offered a possible answer. She had been studying the architect signal, trying to understand its purpose. What she found was both frightening and hopeful. The architects had been guiding galactic civilization for 1 million years. They seeded life, cultivated it, and eliminated anything that grew wrong. Any species that became too independent, too creative, too unpredictable was quietly destroyed. But the system was old, ancient, and it was vulnerable to something the architects never anticipated: human creativity. Logical systems had blind spots. Dreams could slip through cracks. Minji proposed a desperate plan. A direct assault on the architect control nexus believed to be at the galactic core. They would infect it with a quantum virus based on human thought patterns. Poetry, music, art, dreams. When every species united to enslave Earth, they didn't expect this. The first human ship to reach the alien lines was the destroyer, Indomitable. Its captain was a young officer named Ji-won. She had orders from Deho himself: make them afraid. Her ship was already damaged from the opening exchange, engines failing. Hull breached in 3 sections. By all logic, she should retreat. Instead, Ji-won ordered full power to the engines. All crew to escape pods. Launch on my mark. Her officers stared at her. Captain, what are you doing? Winning. She set a collision course for the largest alien ship in the formation, a Krill dreadnought 5 times her size. Launch pods now! The crew evacuated. Ji-won stayed at the controls, pushing her dying ship faster. The aliens noticed too late. They tried to shoot down the Indomitable, but the destroyer was small and fast. It slammed into the dreadnought's command section at incredible speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire. The alien fleet froze. No commander in galactic history had ever used their own ship as a weapon while still aboard. The tactical computers couldn't process it. The Krill Admiral sent confused messages to his counterparts. What kind of species does this? Daeho watched the sacrifice on his screens. He felt the weight of Jiwan's death, but he couldn't stop to mourn. Her action had created exactly what he needed, hesitation. He opened channels to all human forces. Follow Jiwan's example. Be unpredictable, be crazy. Make them fear what we'll do next. On Earth's surface, the alien ground assault began. Massive transport ships landed in major cities. Thousands of alien soldiers emerged, expecting frightened civilians. Instead, they found empty streets and silence. Then the ground exploded beneath them. Taeyang had turned Seoul into a trap. Every street, every building, every underground tunnel was rigged with explosives and ambush points. His fighters struck from shadows, then vanished. The aliens advanced slowly, losing soldiers to traps that made no tactical sense. Why would anyone destroy their own city to kill a few enemies? One Vraxan battalion commander reported back to his superiors. These humans are insane. They blow up their own buildings while still inside them. They sacrifice themselves to take out single soldiers. We can't predict their movements because their movements have no logic. The alien invasion of Earth was supposed to take 3 days. After 1 day, they controlled only the landing zones and nothing else. The humans fought for every street, every building, every room. And they didn't fight like soldiers. They fought like people defending their homes with desperate fury that terrified the invaders. In space, Daeho's tactics grew more aggressive. Human ships abandoned all defensive formations. They split up, regrouped randomly, attacked in patterns that changed every few minutes. Alien targeting computers struggled to lock on. When they did, human pilots would manually override safety systems and pull maneuvers that should have killed them. One human pilot, a woman named Sora, flew her fighter straight through an explosion that destroyed 2 alien cruisers. Her ship was on fire when she emerged on the other side. She kept flying, kept shooting until her fighter finally broke apart. She ejected at the last second and another human ship grabbed her pod. The aliens watched in confusion. Why would anyone fly through an explosion on purpose? From her cell on Axiom Prime, Hana heard reports of the fighting. The guards thought she couldn't access communications, but human technology was more adaptable than they knew. She had hacked into the station's network using a device hidden in her formal robes. The news was both wonderful and terrible. Earth was fighting. Earth was bleeding. But Earth was not surrendering. She also began talking to her guards. The Veltros who brought her food seemed uncomfortable with the war. Hana asked simple questions. Do you believe we deserve this? The guard didn't answer. If your people had been targeted instead, would you fight? Still no answer, but the guard's eyes showed doubt. Doubt was a weapon. Hana would use it. At her laboratory, now deep underground, Minji finally got her meeting with the military council. She brought her research on human cognition. We dream, she told the generals. Every other species in the galaxy experiences consciousness differently. They are logical, predictable. Humans alone possess true imagination. We can conceive of things that don't exist. That's why our tactics work. The aliens can't predict us because we ourselves don't know what we'll do next. How does this help us? One general asked. We can use it to develop better strategies. More than that, we can find weaknesses in their systems. Logic has blind spots. Creativity sees around corners. Can you weaponize this? Minji hesitated. Maybe. I'd need access to alien technology to test my theories. Then we'll get you some. The general smiled grimly. We have plenty of wrecked alien ships to study. On the 3rd day, Captain Yuna and her hidden fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. They didn't announce themselves. They simply appeared from slipspace at a location the aliens thought was impossible to reach. Yuna's ships carried weapons the Council had never seen, technology developed in secret at the hidden stations. She opened a channel to Daeho. Sorry we're late. Shall we even the odds? Daeho almost laughed with relief. Welcome home, Captain. Your timing is perfect. The hidden fleet hit the alien armada from behind. Yuna's ships had adaptive shields that learned from alien weapons and adjusted in real time. Energy beams that should have destroyed her vessels simply bounced off. Missiles lost target lock. The aliens suddenly faced an enemy they couldn't hurt. More importantly, the hidden fleet's appearance shattered alien morale. If humans had been hiding this many ships, what else were they hiding? How many more fleets might appear? The Council's intelligence had been completely wrong about human capabilities. The Krill Admiral commanding the invasion force sent a message to Axiom Prime. We request reinforcements. The humans are not fighting as predicted. They are winning. In the council chamber, that message caused chaos. Winning? Against the combined might of 847 species? Impossible. Yet the reports kept coming. Human resistance on the ground was absolute. Human tactics in space were incomprehensible. Human casualties were enormous, but they didn't stop fighting. If anything, losses made them fight harder. Some council members began asking questions. Why are we doing this? The humans never attacked us. We attacked them. They would have eventually, the council speaker insisted. We are preventing future war. By starting a war now? How does that make sense? The alliance was cracking. Not breaking yet, but cracking. Hana sensed it through her hacked communications. She began broadcasting messages to the entire station, bypassing official channels. To all species in the council, ask yourself why we are your enemy. Ask yourself who benefits from your fear. Ask yourself if those who lied about us might be lying to you too. The messages spread. Aliens talked in corridors and meeting rooms. Some dismissed Hana's words. Others began to wonder. The unity that had seemed so absolute 3 days ago now showed fault lines. On Earth, Taiyang stood in the ruins of a soul street. Bodies lay everywhere, human and alien both. His forces had just repelled another assault, but he knew more would come. A young fighter approached him, barely 20 years old, covered in dust and blood. "Commander, are we winning?" Taiyang looked at the destroyed city around them. "We're not losing." "That's enough for now." In space, Daeho and Yuna coordinated their fleets for a massive counterattack. The aliens still had more ships, but human unpredictability had become overwhelming. Captains abandoned their positions to rescue damaged vessels, then used those rescued ships as decoys in the next attack. It made no sense. It worked anyway. Then Minji's team made a breakthrough. Studying captured alien technology, they discovered something incredible. A way to communicate faster than light without using the Council's controlled slipspace gates. This meant Earth could contact colonies and allies the Council didn't know existed. When Minji activated the new system, dozens of signals immediately came in. Human colonies on distant worlds thought to be small and insignificant. They had populations in the millions. They had built their own ships. And now that they knew Earth was under attack, they were coming. Minji sent her report to Daeho. He read it and smiled for the first time in days. "Tell them to hurry. We're making the galaxy learn an important lesson. You can't enslave humanity. You can only make us angry." When every species united to enslave Earth, they didn't expect this. The stars looked peaceful from the observation deck of Axiom Prime. Commander Daeho stood with his hands behind his back, watching ships from hundreds of worlds dock at the massive station. He had fought in the First Contact War 20 years ago, back when humanity first met the galaxy. That war had been brutal but short. Earth lost, then joined the Galactic Council as the newest member. Daeho never trusted the peace that followed. His communication device buzzed. The message was audio only, heavily encrypted. A weak voice spoke in broken human language. "Commander, you must know. The vote." They all agreed. "Who is this?" Daeho asked quietly. "Veltros Ambassador Krill, I am dying. Poisoned for my conscience." They voted in secret. All 847 species. To enslave your world. You have 3 days before they act. The line went dead. Daeho stood very still. He had suspected something like this for months. The way other species looked at humans. The whispered conversations that stopped when Earth diplomats entered rooms. Humanity scared them. Humans were too good at war, too creative, too unpredictable. The galaxy wanted them controlled. Across the station, in the diplomatic quarters, Hana was preparing for the emergency council session. She wore formal robes and carried data tablets filled with carefully prepared speeches. Hana had spent 5 years building relationships with other species, learning their customs, finding common ground. She believed in peace. But lately, even her closest alien friends had grown distant. Her assistant rushed in. "Ambassador, Commander Daeho requests immediate secure communication." Hana accepted the call. Daeho's face appeared on her screen, and she knew immediately something was wrong. He told her everything. The secret vote. The dying ambassador. The coming enslavement. "This peace summit is a trap," Daeho said. "We need to leave now." Hana shook her head. "If we run, we confirm their fears about us. I have to try to talk them down. Maybe I can split their alliance." They voted 847-0. Hana, there is no splitting that. Then I'll be the first to try. She ended the call before he could argue more. On Earth, in the underground levels beneath Seoul, Taeyang watched the news broadcasts with his team. For 10 years, people called him paranoid. He insisted Earth needed secret defenses, hidden weapons, plans for resistance. The government pretended to ignore him while secretly funding everything he asked for. Now his encrypted orders came through. Activate all protocols. They're really coming? His second-in-command asked. They're already here, Taeyang replied, pointing at the surveillance screens. 300 alien ships just appeared at the edge of our solar system. They're waiting. In orbit around a distant star, Captain Yuna sat in the command chair of the exploration vessel Horizon's Edge. Her crew thought they were mapping uncharted space. Only Yuna and her senior officers knew the truth. They had spent 2 years building a secret military station in this hidden system, far from Council space. 30 other exploration ships had done the same in different locations. Her communication officer looked up. Captain, we're receiving an emergency signal. Code Black meant Earth was under attack. Yuna had hoped this day would never come. Set course for home. Maximum speed. That's a 3-day journey, Captain. Earth might not have 3 days. Then we'd better make sure they do. Send the signal to all other hidden stations. Tell them it's time. Back at Axiom Prime, Hana entered the Grand Council chamber. The massive room could hold representatives from all member species. Today, every seat was filled. Hana walked down the center aisle, feeling thousands of alien eyes watching her. She reached the speaking platform at the center. The council speaker, a tall being made of crystalline structures, addressed her. Ambassador Hana of Earth, you have been summoned to hear the judgment of this council. Judgment? Hana kept her voice calm. I was told this was a peace summit. There will be peace. Once Earth submits to our guidance, humanity has proven too dangerous to remain unchecked. You wage war without reason. You create weapons without purpose. You dream of things that should not exist. For the safety of the galaxy, Earth must accept our stewardship. Stewardship is a kind word for slavery, Hana said. Call it what you wish. The vote was unanimous. Even now our fleets surround your world. We offer one kindness. Surrender peacefully and no humans will die. Resist and we will do what must be done. Hana looked around the chamber. She saw fear in many faces. Not fear of what humanity had done, but fear of what humanity might become. They weren't evil. They were terrified. You should have studied our history more carefully, she said quietly. We have studied it extensively. That is why we must act. No, you studied our wars, our weapons, our violence. But you missed the important parts. Hana smiled, though her heart was breaking. You didn't learn what happens when you try to chain us. Security forces moved forward to arrest her. Hana didn't resist. As they led her away, the council broadcast their message to Earth. Surrender in 24 hours or face destruction. At Earth, Daeho watched the broadcast from his flagship. He had already positioned defense fleets in nearby systems, hidden from council sensors. The alien armada surrounding Earth was massive, over 3,000 warships. Earth's entire defense force numbered only 400 ships. On the surface, Taeyang activated his resistance network. All across the planet, weapons caches opened. Trained fighters moved to their positions. Civilians were evacuated to underground shelters. Earth wouldn't surrender. Earth would make them pay for every meter. In her laboratory, scientist Minji worked frantically. She had made a discovery that could change everything, but she needed more time. Humans were different from every other species in one crucial way. Other aliens were logical, predictable. They thought in straight lines. Humans dreamed. Humans imagined. Humans could think of things that didn't exist and make them real. That made human tactics impossible for aliens to predict. I need to tell the military about this, she said to her assistant. They won't listen. They're preparing for war. Then I'll make them listen. This could save us all. The 24-hour deadline approached. Alien commanders expected Earth to surrender. Humanity had no chance against their combined fleets. Every tactical analysis predicted quick human defeat. The aliens positioned their ships, prepared their occupation forces, and waited for the humans to see reason. They didn't understand. Humanity had never been reasonable. That was the point. When the deadline expired and no surrender came, the alien fleet commander gave the order to attack. Weapons charged. Ships moved into assault formation. The invasion of Earth began. From his flagship, Deho watched them come. He opened a channel to all human forces. They think this will be easy. They think we'll break. They're wrong. Show them what humans do when someone tries to enslave us. Show them why they should have left us alone. The human fleet accelerated toward the aliens. Every ship, every pilot, not retreating, not defending, attacking. Against impossible odds, humanity charged straight into the teeth of the enemy. The aliens had made calculations, run simulations, prepared for every logical response. They never prepared for this. They never prepared for humanity.